Oh, I can't hear you, Michael. Is it coming through?
Oh, there we go. I apologize.
Yep.
This is what happens when you do things in a productively DeOrganized way. My name is Michael Jagdao, headhunter launching startups with the Syndicate. I am joined today by my new co-host, Rocky and the Block, head of Red Block Labs. Today we're going to be talking to Rafa, inventor of Jing.cash and Factory.fun. We're also going to be talking to Stu, who has a lot to swear about today, but also has some solutions. And we're also going to be exploring what it's like to create a synthetic being with a digital currency wallet who can engage in actions over the internet. Rocky?
GM. It's Rocky from sunny California. I'd love to get Rafa up onto the stage so we can kind of talk to him, and would love to hear his story and see what his story is like, what has gotten him here to where he is on building on Stacks. Love to hear what he has in store for us for Jing Cash as well as Factory.fun.
What's up, guys? Mike, you're muted again.
He's probably running two different things at the same time.
I'm talking to people on the live stream.
I could open live view.
Say
guess.
hello, Dan, to the YouTube live stream.
Hello, everybody. Greetings. You're about to watch something spectacular. Even better, you're about to digest it. Good morning. You're about to use. You're about to blow your mind away. That's right.
Interesting.
Welcome to the madness. Hey, Rafa, how's it going?
Let's go, everybody!
Oh,
How's everybody
yeah.
going this morning?
Rafa, we talked for the first time, maybe a couple days ago? But I had always heard about you as like one of those people on the Mount Rushmore of Stacks, right? That's how Peace Love described it to me, because you went through like a full transformation of who you are, what your skills were, and you actually learned how to code from scratch. And because I think that's such a powerful story, that's actually why I wanted you to have you on. Not just because you might have the lowest slippage in the game. We're going to talk about that very soon. But before we do that, I want to make the invisible visible. Again, if this is our first time talking, my name is Michael Jagdao, headhunter launching startups with the Syndicate. We're talking to Rafa today, who has launched Jing.cash and now Factory.fun. But before we get into the best platform for trading and owning assets ever conceived of on the planet, courtesy of Rafa, I want to understand, the child is the father of the man. You ever heard that? The child is the father of the man. So, before talking to Rafa about himself, I'd like to know where he grew up and what his parents did.
Hey, everyone. First off, it's great to be invited on the show. Rocky, Mike, Peace, Love, Stu, Paul, and everybody watching the show. So it's a real honor to be here. Yes, I did go through the Clarity Bootcamp as a non-developer and completed it. I did complete the Setsuzu's 100 Days of Clarity right after that. And I did go through the Bitcoin Startup Lab twice. So quite a journey in transformation indeed. In terms of where I grew up in the neighborhoods of Paris, south of Paris in the forest. And my father was an engineer in telecommunication, and my mom was a teacher in French, had her own sort of little business school. School for teaching French for companies. That's my background.
Wow. So your dad was in telecom and your mom taught languages. And now you are creating solutions involving networked languages.
Yeah, everything is converging in me.
Whoa.
And I feel like that's the case for the universe. And everybody in this room, I think, can feel it, especially with SBTC today being launched on Stacks. Everybody's pretty much excited about Bitcoin acquiring these superpowers now that you can program, you can do all sorts of things, get yield on it, and so on, right?
So we're going to talk very soon about how the superpowers that were just added to Stacks, launching with SBTC today, which is, in my opinion, potentially the peer-to-peer cash for Bitcoin's peer-to-peer gold. We'll talk about that soon. I'm learning how to talk in that YouTube thing where you always talk about like things you're going to talk about later, but like try to string people along, right? Talking about the $1 million we're about to send you coming up soon. Now, about where you grew up, what your parents did. Who gave you your first break? Who gave you your first break, Rafa?
What do you mean by that? What does it mean? Like, English is my third language, so although I live in the US now,
Opportunity.
I sometimes struggle.
So,
Opportunity.
Oh, I see.
Like, I'll give you an example. Like, the person who gave me my first break was Professor Carter from Cedar Brae Collegiate Institute in Toronto. And I was a law student of his in high school, and I showed interest, got great marks, and he hooked me up with my first co-op job. He was the first person who gave me a chance and saw some potential in me, even though I didn't potentially live up to my potential in my first engagement. Who gave you your first break? Who was your Professor Carter?
Yeah, I think there's more than just one person who gave me a first break. I think that we owe a lot to all the mentors and community that helped us throughout our journey. And a couple of people come to mind, but I would say, had a very good relationship with my first sort of mentor at a major American bank. And he essentially taught me everything from the ground up. And this is almost like how it works in sort of like in these banks. Like you work alongside someone and essentially you learn everything from them. And that's very much the American way, right? Like to learn through the experience, and very much the opposite of French classical way where academics is always first. And so I think that seduced me. And then maybe another person that comes to mind is the sort of CEO program manager of the Bitcoin Startup Lab, who did give me a chance to go through that journey that was pretty intense.
So what you're saying is make America apprenticeships again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but then again, I think it's all the time, and in this ecosystem, the amount of talent that exists is incredible, and the amount of knowledge and growth that is potentially there for the taken is incredible. Like just like yesterday, had the opportunity to discover a new tool built by the Alex team, and that tool is really powerful.
Those guys are overpowered.
Man, this is like next level power. Like it allows you to simulate things directly using mainnet states, and it's really fast. Shout out to the Alex and Stacks. I think it's called Stackster.
Yeah, we had Hadan a few weeks ago. Blew my mind. That guy's implementing Wealth of Nations 4.0 with Alex. It's amazing.
And that's the thing. Like it's it's constant. Like it's all the time.
Yes.
You can learn like not only on the technical side, but also I would say maybe on the business marketing side. Like with you guys, with the guys from Velar. Like shout out to Pete. They are a marketing machine that is going to eat up the Web2 world, and I'm so excited for all of what they're bringing. And so, yeah, working in this ecosystem with champs is a way to level up, like no doubt, no fucking doubt.
So, you met someone at a bank who was kind enough to take you under their wing. Now, how did you get that job?
Yeah, I'd say that in some cases, sort of the system is a little unfair, and like your network will help you in many cases to get the job. But then you also have to show up, right? and even if people give you an opportunity, if you don't follow through and if you don't perform, then you're going to fall behind. And so it's really like help yourself, and the world will help you, I'd say. And in my case, I'm ready to sweat. I'm ready to stay in the chair. This is something I discovered I love, and just incredibly grateful to be able to do it regardless of the outcome. You know, I'm entitled to the action, not to the outcome.
Aha, that's key. My sales mentor said that if luck is when opportunity meets preparedness, you actually cannot get lucky unless you're prepared for opportunity, right? So it's about what you do before the wave hits. And I think we're all in that position where, like Rocky hasn't slept yet. I haven't slept yet. It's maybe not the best thing to do on a regular occasion, but there are certain things that are keeping us up at night. I think keeping us all up at night. So you mentioned about what you learned from your initial mentor at the bank. Can you talk about the world that person opened up for you? Because it seems like you're operationalizing all of that with Jing.cash and Factory.fun today, but it sounded like the kernel started there.
Yeah. So throughout my career, so started at that job in the front office, pricing sort of complex interest rate derivatives, coding in C#, but also took my own initiative to code in VBA and basic stuff, but it was from my own initiative. The job didn't require it. It was more of a sales than a structural kind of job, although the interest rates are most complex products, of Wall Street, I'd say. So sorry, what was the question again? Like how did they do it, or what did they open up? Yeah.
No, you're perfect. You're saying everything I wanted to hear, which is talking about how you started with that kernel of knowledge in banking, what you learned. And so what you said there is your job was to help price complex interest rate related derivatives at a top tier bank. That's pretty incredible. What an education. How old were you?
I was straight out of graduation, so in my 20s.
20s.
What it teaches you is like rigor, and there's no room for error. If you make a small error, it can cost a lot of money for the bank. And so this ties into what I'm doing now, which is, like blockchain is also about data and essentially value where it flows. And the same thing goes for, having a bug in these contracts, which are immutable, like which if there is a bug, if there's an exploit, it will be exploited.
Paul's going to like this question. When you say rigor, what does rigor mean at a top tier bank when you're pricing complex interest rate related assets? Can you talk about what rigor actually means?
It's a lot of preparation, I'd say. Like there's really a process that you have to check all the boxes. There's double verification, like you're not alone. You have clients on one side that you have them on the phone, right? And then you have the trader on the other side, and if the trader matches you, essentially that's double verification. And then beyond that, there's like, is that contract, and all sorts of compliant techniques that are implemented. But in terms of like the execution desk itself, like you're like there's several steps before anything is being executed. That makes sense.
So now that we understand where you developed your instinct for the financial rigor required to bring trading platforms to life, how did you get introduced to Bitcoin?
Yeah, sorry, it was cut off a little bit, but I think
Sorry.
I heard the.
Mhm.
It's my fault. My headphones are running
It's
out
okay.
of battery. This is. You see, I should have been more prepared for this.
It's okay.
Um,
You save your rigor for the financial trading platforms.
Yeah, so essentially it taught me to just like when you code a contract, you really need to be sure 100% every line that you code. And Clarity is perfect for that because it's very expressive, and it's built with security at core. So that's why I really love coding in Clarity. It's like you have to be slow, not fast.
Can you say more about that? Imagine we're just talking to the developers in the room. When you say it's expressive and expresses security very usably and usefully, can you talk to the developers like the the Stewarts, the Rockies, and the Pauls and the Soon Pieces out there? Can you get into detail about why you, as someone who's coming from traditional high finance, really likes Clarity to create products like Jing.cash and Factory.fun, which I want to talk about next?
Yeah, so all sorts of things, but yeah, it's a pleasure to be able to read every line and being fully sure of what happens. Like there's no wiggle room for not knowing what happens. And sometimes I assume, because I'm not a Solidity developer, but sometimes some of these other languages I develop, like full stack, they're a little higher level. So let's give you an analogy. Like for AI, that's the highest level of abstraction. And so when you talk to the AI, you're not entirely sure. And actually, there is a component of variability that's a feature in how the LLM works. Well, Clarity is all the opposite. There is no variability, at least like from my understanding of it so far. And that's a pleasure because it gives me the confidence that when I'm going to put some value into this code, I know for sure that hey, there's no variability to be exploited there. Although, take all of what I'm saying with a grain of salt, there are gigabrains that know better that can explain all these things in further details.
I love it. So now that we understand, where you grew up, what your parents did, you're essentially a product of your parents' careers. You're combining languages with telecommunications, and now we're adding wallets, right? So I think that's beautiful. We talked about your background education-wise, how it led you to getting a job at a top-tier financial institution, pricing interest rate related complex derivatives. Now that we understand Clarity and how that allows you to have that precise control that you are looking for in traditional Web 2 finance, can you talk about how all of that led you to create Jing.cash and now Factory?
Yeah, so maybe like further background into like all of this journey of my career is like, starting at an American bank during the subprime crisis and seeing the element of variability in the system.
Yeah,
and
variability. That's a way to
Yeah.
say it.
So I remember being really really down with the subprime crisis at the time, and people at my desk, like my colleagues, were complaining that for every dollar that was in circulation, I don't remember if it's like 20x were land or something.
Right.
So yeah, so fast forward through my student, like my journey as I became an entrepreneur. I came to the US. I started a hedge fund with a friend. That was an incredible opportunity to be able to build my own business in this country, the country of opportunity, and being able to do it with someone very strong, very high caliber in finance. I also learned a ton from him. But I always knew that something was missing, right? In terms of like this viability, that perhaps, we're giving finance a little bit too much ability to play with this viability. And so when I discovered Stacks, was instantly seduced by the potential to give, rules governed by code to Bitcoin. And that's when I started, like, slowly but surely, following Stacks as a user first, and became a fanboy, to be honest. That was in 2019, early in 2019. And then, when I discovered there was a program for entrepreneurs to, pre-idea program, then that really excited me, and I simply applied and got fortunate enough to join. Albert, the CEO of that program, advised me to start learning to code. Completed the boot camp as a non-developer. That was a pretty steep sort of learning curve, but then once that was done, like, everything flowed from there, and started learning everything from scratch, like HTML, CSS, like the basic stuff with online courses. And now I'm enjoying it. Like, I can build. Got a ton of support. Like, shout out to Leo from Seigel. He taught me backend development. So generous with his time. Like, he gave me a 1 hour and a half course, like scratch course on that. And then learning from the other developers as well. Like, we're not in a silo, and users is what matters for me. Like I want to build for users. Yeah, users first. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point.
No. This is perfect. So, when we talked to Hadan from Alex, who is turning Bitcoin and Stacks into capital, collateral, credit, and cash, he said that what Stacks is doing is bringing programmable money to Bitcoin. So as we talk about your experience with these Bitcoin startup labs, how would you respond to the phrase, Stacks allows for Bitcoin to become programmable? Is that true, false, or would you say it better? Stacks allows Bitcoin to be programmable.
Yeah, I'd say, there's like to avoid all of the purist debate on bridges and security issues and so on. The ability to exit from a chain to go back to main L1 chain and so on. I think what Stacks is doing is pretty cool. Like, you bridge your Bitcoin without having to pay. First off, right? It's essentially sponsored by the entire chain itself. There's no fee there. It's like leveraging to the max what can be done with the current state of Bitcoin. There's no need for Bitcoin to fork, and there you go. You can bridge your Bitcoin. It's like security. Like, security is pretty cool there. Like, right. Sorry, it's like
I like no. I like the way you said that. Stacks is a sponsored bridge to Bitcoin.
Yeah,
SBTC.
Exactly. You can see the entire Stacks chain itself. Like, its purpose is to render Bitcoin programmable, and so you do need to bridge that Bitcoin. And so I think the work that Tycho and all of the other wonderful like leaders at you know, I don't know if it's Trust Machine or another core entity. Yeah, figuring out the magic formula for this to work well, to be secured, yeah. Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, this is perfect. Again, we don't need to necessarily have all the right words. I think the vibe that people will get, the right people will get the vibe of this conversation. I'm going to pause there, though. Rocky, Paul, Peace, Stuart, any questions, comments, violent disagreements, or observations of what you've heard so far?
So I've known Rafa for a little while now. I know he's an excellent dude. He's coming from the right place philosophically. And I think that, yeah, absolutely agree with what he's saying. You know, the SBTC and Stacks in general is bringing programming functionality to Bitcoin in a way that is designed to only enhance Bitcoin and not hurt it. You know, it's not trying to take something away from Bitcoin. It's just building on top of it.
Yeah. And that's the whole idea of a successful technology. Look at any technology. Look at Apple App Store. All right? What is the App Store? What is Apple without the App Store? Right? You can't even conceive of it. Right? And so they won through people doing what? Leveraging the platform to build assets.
Actually, what Apple is without the App Store is a bunch of hardware with built-in obsolescence.
So you're saying, how might we build built-in obsolescence into Stacks? No, sorry.
No,
Rocky.
I'm
Paul?
glad we don't.
No, as Rafa was talking about coding and clarity versus solidity, I was trying to think of like a good way to explain it, because a lot of my job is explaining technical things to non-technical people, right? And so to me, at least, like coding in solidity is like watching my mom cook pho without a recipe sheet, right? You know, some people are great, right? Some people are great at cooking and not add any measurements, just throw in the recipes, right? And some people are great cooks and they'll get it right and it'll taste delicious when it comes out, right? That is not me. So I need that recipe list. I need clarity, right? I need that recipe so I can make pho the way that my mom does, right? I want to know that it's going to be good when I make the pho broth at the end of the day, right?
My sister-in-law, she's a world-class pastry chef, and the way my wifey Ali describes it is, you might see someone who's baking, but to her, she's doing chemistry in a kitchen. And every second counts. The entire temperature of the even room counts because of how the folds work when you're making croissant, right? And pastries and things like that. So I love that explanation about, in Indian, they have this idea of andazi, which is put how much you feel, right? Jeera, garam masala, coriander, just go with it. That's kind of the grandma way to teach you. But for other people, like kind of our generation who wants to make the curry exactly like our grandparents make it, we're actually like, how much is that? And to have that level of precision when building financial systems that are interconnected through bridges, because a bridge is a bridge over what? Troubled water, wouldn't you say? And you're going to want to understand how those bricks interconnect, especially when it comes to Donald Trump auditing political legal compliance time. If people are going to trust their assets on it, they're going to want extreme, in this case, Turing complete clarity to reason about any side effects that might happen. I'm going to pause there. Paul, how you feeling? You're feeling good. You're feeling nice.
Oh, right now I'm chasing a problem for a client who just called me, and it's crisis mode, so I'm jumped on that. I'm listening to you guys. I find it really interesting what he's done in doing the the part about programming, and then started to having to learn a spread of different skill sets. Which have you found something that you discovered new that you really enjoyed doing when you found, you had to learn these new set of tools? What was
Yeah,
your
Paul.
favorite?
Huh.
Yeah. So what's your favorite of new tools that you had to learn?
The thing is, like the learning itself is, you feel you're afraid because you don't know it yet, right? You don't know how to do it. You fear that you won't be able to do it. Like it's that thrill, and then with AI nowadays, you can figure out anything. Honestly.
Yeah, AI is the game changer of
Oh,
having instant
That's incredible.
reference versus Google 10,000 times, read 3 books, and then it still fails,
Wow.
and you go, oh, it was one little thing that was making the problem, and you figure it out. So
That's incredible. Sorry, what you just said there is with AI now, your fears can become thrills. That's madness.
yeah, Mike. There is one caveat to that it can go sideways and loop you into wasting your time for
Of
hours and
course.
hours. And so
So can people.
yeah, in my case, like still learning the basics, like knowing the basics before you try improvising is very important. And I would take AI as a good tool to introduce you maybe to subject, but if you want to go deep, you still need, at least in my case, to learn from world-class mentors. Like, and online, everything is there for the taking. It's just takes a lot of time.
We call that the digital menage a trois.
Exactly,
Me
exactly.
with my
I love
mentor
your hoodie,
and
by the way.
Oh, yes. I
should
can't
see
do
the
the
other
sound
one.
effect. You should see the other one.
By the way, I don't know if I'm shouting or if how I'm
No,
coming
it's okay.
across.
Even if you are, it's worth it,
Can I
Peace.
just say, I
Go
want to
ahead.
point out before we lose fact of just how relaxed Paul sounds while he's dealing with a crisis mode situation for a client.
That's why they call him, because he's calm.
Well, he's
Yeah, so
calm, he knows what to do.
Yeah, to answer your question, Paul, like I really love Clarity because it's slow, it's beautiful, it's precise. Whereas, everything else from to back, I also love it because you can build things that actually users use. That I love. Like, people are saying nowadays, hey, AI is going to replace all of the UIs, all of these forms. But still, like good UI that is beautiful, that does what the user expects in an intuitive way, is actually a ton of work. Behind the scene is like lines and lines and lines of codes, if this, that, and then that, if this, then that. And some people don't like to do that. They prefer to do high level, really complex smart contract, like the guys from, I would say, Villar and Alex, for example. But I love to do the good UIs, like things that are intuitive. So yeah, it's going to feel great. It's going to look great. Now it's a ton of work. So I both ends. I like smart contract, smooth and slow, and really understanding everything, and then really quick front to back. Okay, this thing is working. If that makes sense.
So before we go any further, Rafa, so far it's been an honor. You have the right vibes. You have the right energy, right? And right now we need stuff like that because of our next topic. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Stu, well, a lot of you know this, Stu went from a simple potato farmer to a game developer. And now he's returning to the potato patch, and he's tokenizing potatoes. Stu, are you... You're still with us. and we are grateful for that. Now, we've talked about a lot of very fancy things and a lot of very serious things and a lot of very exciting things and a lot of very financial things, right? But there is the other side of this. With great power comes great responsibility. And sometimes with great money comes great hackers, great social engineers, great snakes in the
I hate how
grass.
creepy you say social engineers.
We wrote a book on social engineering last year, so it kind of takes one to know one, I guess. You know what I mean? And
Mike, this feels like a meditation. The way you talk. Shout out to Nobody Famous.
Yeah, big shout out to Nobody.
What up, Nobody? Nobody was the name
And
of
Giga.
Giga.
And
Nobody
GPS.
was.
I'm not
Nope.
putting his comment out there because I don't want to trigger Stu.
Oh, I can't wait to. Triggering Stu is actually the name of a show we have coming up. Actually,
It's actually your whole shtick when Stu's on the stage, man.
he has no. Cursing with Cursor Part 1 is coming up.
It's not.
So Stu, I haven't slept, and one of the reasons I haven't slept is because some of the family is broken away. Let's say they broke away in the morning, and we went into crisis mode. And because now the time between ideation and physical manifestation has never been shorter, we know that time is becoming less significant. And what does that mean? What is the implication of that? Well, if time plus tragedy equals comedy, just remove time and turn tragedy into comedy. So, what happened, if you don't mind sharing it, because it affected a lot of people in the community, do you mind talking about what happened with RM Fam? I think there was a trifecta, some people are calling it in the news. The rug trifecta piece. I'm not sure if you've heard that name. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that.
You've not heard of the rug trifecta? No.
I have not. I have heard not of the rug trifecta. So you must explain it.
Stu, can you explain the rug trifecta?
No. Not explaining it. Listen, guys, I'm sure you've anybody who's not welcome everybody. First of all, Rafa, absolute pleasure to have you on the show, man. Great. I love the things you've been doing, and how you even got to here, man. It's you've been through a wealth of a sea of knowledge, and thank you for bringing that all to Stacks. Much appreciation to you. Yet again, as well, peace, love. Always love your shows, man. I love how you bring all this information. Oma, the rock of the corner. Rocky, as always, ChatGPT. We have the wealth of information. We have Michael for the best dress sense in Stacks. I'm sorry, no, Michael, you're my mentor, and a lot of I owe a lot to you as well. It's been not only a mentor but also a friend. So we take that with a jest, guys. Unfortunately, again. We're at this situation where people believe in certain projects, unfortunately, and until it goes into a balance of the touch of a button, a flick of an emotional reaction, and people suffer. People suffer from that there because people believe you get bought into a vision, and everything goes forward with the vision. And unfortunately then, or fortunately, this happens. Because why do I say fortunately? Because with the fortunate side of this year, there's lessons to be learned from this year. And going forward from this year, there's many of us here today probably wouldn't be here because of maybe a mistake or an error that was actually happened. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. And I think we all are the result of errors or situations we've had in our life. So the great thing about, and there's actually nothing great about whatever happened yesterday and what just happened with GoatCoin and many, many different projects has happened before with all these emotional runoffs that we have with people's funds and money. that we do have people who can come forward and say, well, listen, we can actually maybe create something that can't actually be done like out there. We've already had some discussions this morning with the potential of making situations where people actually can join a project and feel relatively safe, you know. So what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention. Necessity is the mother of invention. You know? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
swearing. I'm
I-
not swearing. I'm not swearing today, guys. Fuck that. There.
I just want to add just one thing. I'm completed my issue. They're resolved. They're happy. Hawk 2 is another example. So that's kind of like some of them feel today, probably. So
Oh, that
Absolutely.
was a whole nother situation. That girl is probably going to jail.
Why should she go to jail? Come on, man.
I'm not saying whether anybody should or shouldn't go to jail, but based on the current laws around this
Yeah.
stuff, here she is, and how high profile she is, and how everyone knows what the hell happened. She's
You think they want to make Desdemona an example?
Well, the only thing is
that's not good luck, man.
Well, the jail she's going to, or Hawk 2, fucking skills won't serve her any fucking any use there, like, you know. So
No,
it's the amount of
here's
money
the thing.
involved.
yeah, a crazy minute. But you know, yet again, what we do have is, regardless of it all, we do have a situation that has evolved again and has happened on many different chains and many different situations, many different projects. But the good thing is we do have people out here that look for solutions, and with the technical abilities and the
Oop. I think we
apologize
just
for that there. Sorry.
Oh.
No, yes, no. No, I'm gone.
Yep.
No, you're back.
good.
You're back. You're back.
Still
You were
good.
gone for a second, though.
Yeah.
I lost.
I don't know if you can hear us.
So, I guess there's two courses of action. One's to tell
So I
us
don't
how
know I don't know all the details. Rafa was asking the details of the FAM RM FAM.
Stuart, do you mind sharing the details? Again, this is a new show. We just want to let. Oh, okay.
Stu's gone.
No worries.
So my loose understanding is Yoda basically dumped his bags and messaged the community. My wife told me I'm done with crypto. Sorry, guys.
Okay. So did you get the same message that I got at 2 a.m.?
I had no knowledge of this until I saw you guys pre-show. And Stu was going
Really?
nuts. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So I
it's
don't
one
know
of those-
anything about it.
So it highlights the interesting part of all of this, which is, my psychology professor told me when you have a large organization, eventually people are going to want to empower the organization and the individuals inside of it to have more freedom. He said, though, that where empowerment initiatives get pulled back is when mistakes get made and money is lost. Because essentially, when you empower people to do things, you empower them to make and lose money. Does that make sense?
It does, but sometimes it's also that costly mistake could actually result in developing processes that are way more valuable than if you never took that risk and lost that money.
Now, here's the thing. This is the recruiter in me. I don't trust process. I trust people. Right? Yeah. If I trust the person, then I will go to the next realm of looking at their processes, their GitHubs, and things like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so what Rafa and Alex, Jing.cash, Factory.fun, right? What this is allowing the creation of is a better functionality that can allow you to become Gary Gensler. That's right. Have you ever thought about paying Gary Gensler? This is your chance. Now on, you know what I mean? Like, you can do that. You want to have an algorithmic central bank, then you can just fork JPM Quorum if you want. Now, I say all of this because I believe the trajectory is such that people are going to look for not just the right products, but the right founders to trust. Does that make sense? It's not just about whether you can create something like Jing.cash. It's about whether you trust Rafa. That's more and more becoming a part of the buying equation, I believe, in these markets.
Well, it depends on what you're buying. Right now, you're not
Good
buying
point.
anything from Rafa, right? You're just using his platform, which is based on smart contracts, which you don't even have to trust. Though, of my participation, it was on beta testnet, so I didn't really have to trust anything anyway because it was not real stacks, right? But I also know Rafa, and I do trust him, so I didn't have to go look at the contracts. But if I wanted to, I could. I don't have to trust Rafa.
But for the everyday, like, I find
If I'm investing in a meme token, then I have to trust the team behind it and that they're going to, especially if they hold a huge percentage of the token or a large enough percentage to crush the market in a small token, in a small ecosystem. Like that's why we tell people don't invest money they can't afford to lose. Because especially the higher the potential reward, the greater the potential risk.
surface attack area.
Right.
Precisely. We should assume the upside as at least 5 times as small as the downside. Right.
So in this case, did you guys notice some red flag? Was there high
Yes.
concentration?
Yes, there
Or-
was a red flag.
What
Yes,
was
there
there?
was. So George pointed it out. It had something to do with the liquidity. I'm gonna pull it up right
George,
now.
the one FT, George Grant,
I believe so. I'm gonna find it
with
right
the
now.
meme guy that
Here we
created meme token.
Okay, so sorry, Rafa. Do you mind if we tried doing something live? Here, I'm gonna share
Let's
my
do it.
screen. Is that okay? All right. We're sharing our screen, doing computer stuff. Computer stuff. All right. So this is George.
That's the new computer stuff music.
All right, there we go. Computer
Gonna
stuff.
sample that.
Yeah,
George has been doing a great job
yeah. George
at
is a G.
warning, giving
Yeah.
away some
Come on.
some red flags.
Right? He has ETH and BTC. Right? Crossing the political crypto lines. So
Bored apes.
don't say I didn't warn you. Literally, I warned you. Rise of the meme fam. Imagine what happens when fam is breaking apart. Now,
Well, look at
here's
that
the thing.
rocket up. Look. Not a financial advisor, but don't hold everything through
okay.
that move. Don't
Sorry.
hold everything through that move,
Sorry.
guy.
Peace.
You
Now-
XRP people are hearing me.
Peace. You've been talking to Landy for a little while. Can you describe what's happening here?
So this isn't something specific we covered with Landy, but you're just looking at a multiple X return, multiple times return on your investment over a short period of time. I can't even see the. Hold on, let me actually maximize this. So
That's what she
we're gonna
said.
go. Yeah, you went from 0.05 under 0.05 to 0.35. That's more than a 7x.
Come
Don't-
on,
you
man.
know,
7.
20x.
7x.
20x Rafa says.
What more do you want? 7. All right. So here's what he said. For those new to Stacks meme coins, don't get trapped into coins that have no liquidity. $fam is a good example. You see it pumping, but when you look at the liquidity, you realize that if only 0.7% of it gets sold at zero, extremely high risk. In general, look for a balanced market cap total liquidity ratio. Anything under 10 to 1 should be safe. Rue, by who piece? Who's Rue?
Rue is Jack Ben Switch and Ian Banksia.
That's right. Rue is a good example of a very safe coin. Not financial advice. Their market cap Total liquidity ratio is 2 to 1. Don't get trapped. Always make sure
Part of the reason why their liquidity is, they did that by design because they designed it smart, and they told us what they were doing along the way.
Aha. Build with, not just for. Don't get trapped. Always make sure the coin you invest in has market cap, total liquidity ratio of under 10 to 1. Check your favorite coins. I'll create a cheat sheet of the top 20 coins on Stacks in a bit to help newbies out. So here's why I throw to Rafa. Rafa, what does this mean for the noobs? What does this tell you?
Yeah, exactly. So he said there's a 1 to 10 ratio. If you look at the market cap, 6 million and then 50K, right? Is that the, and you have to consider the STX side of it, right? So total liquidity includes both the token and so essentially it's half, right? The real sort of value is to be taken, like to be like, yeah, they stole half of it, right? So
yeah, but if you just look at it like this, it's fucking amazing.
I think it's very well said by George. Like, don't get trapped only by the price movement. Do your own research and check the quantity, right? The amount of stacks that is inside the contract.
So, Rocky, Paul, I'm not sure if you're there. Rocky GPT engage, if you don't mind. Can you explain this as if you're explaining to the to the noob, but wealthies, right? What does this mean?
Let me understand this a little better. So this is a question for just the panel, right? But even the ratio that you calculate can change in an instant, right? Because unless the liquidity token itself is burnt, they can pull liquidity. Like one moment, it could be the ratio is 1 to 2 or whatever, right? But if they pull liquidity from Velar, that ratio can change in an instant, right? As fast blocks go. Huh?
I gotta say, to me, and again, I know like this affects people, but look out for potato, not financial advice. But I gotta say, the top of this is looking pretty good. Like just this right here.
Well, they can't see that because we're in the way. You can't see it because you're looking at the screen. So hold on.
Okay.
Now it's just your screen share.
Okay. Look at that.
That looks great.
That looks great.
But to be honest with you, I'm probably not buying something that's had a 40x over the last 30 days because I missed it.
But I'm just saying, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Peace, it could
10,000x. It could, but it probably won't.
So it sounds like if I were creating an investment agent, cue Rocky GPT, think about how we're going to talk about Eliza as we wrap up today's show. If I was going to create a bot that was going to trade on my behalf, I may consider this ratio suggested by George when creating and deploying my agent with a wallet. Is that fair?
Yes.
I think that's fair. And I think it's also about earlier we talked about risk to reward, right? So don't, YOLO your entire bag into something that has very low liquidity, right? Do 1%, 2%, sort of gamble money.
But
right?
Here's the thing. I'm down 10,000%. I can't afford to play it safe.
Yeah, so this is always the case. Like, this is just a magnified situation, right, with meme coins. But it's always the case that price is a function of how deep the liquidity is. So, like, even in TradFi, usually what you want to see is some sort of consolidation, right? Even in Bitcoin, right, which is trading for billions of dollars in volume every day. You want to see some sort of consolidation, and there is going to be volatility along the way. But if it goes up too fast, too high, then that's max risk, especially with, like, if you look at the depth of the liquidity. Not everyone is going to be able to get out. And what happens is then those who have bid bags, they start to get to that point where, okay, this is significant amount of money for them, and they cannot help it. They are just going to deplete the AMM of its liquidity. So yeah, don't let the price cheat on you, sort of thing.
No, beautiful. So this is for the Karl Marx fans out there. There must be some, I'm in a social democracy known as Canada, so I guess I should know a little bit about Karl Marx. He said one of his criticisms of capitalism was how, this is going to bring it full circle, how price was abstracted from value. He said that when you start trading money for cows, sometimes you can just arbitrarily raise price of cow. Add salt bay.
It's not arbitrary. It's set by the market. Actually, it's not arbitrary.
No, but it's just one of those things where he
it
noticed
beats
that
trading a cow for a horse.
He noticed that with the penchant for conspicuous consumption, what you could do with price fetishism is simply raise the price, which caused the giffen good of raising of demand. Does that make sense? The price became its own fetish.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And of all the things I read, I was like, damn, that price fetishism was fucking bang on, right?
Yeah.
Explain that to me. I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean.
Rafa or Rocky, GPT or Paul, the idea of price fetishism is about how we go from this barter system, right? Where goats for cows or goats for chickens, to $10 cow, 2 for chicken. And this idea from Marx of price fetishism was that just like somebody has a kink for leather or for lace, some people have a kink for price. The more expensive it is, the more I enjoy it, because the more I think it's somehow valuable. Any takers?
Okay, so you're suggesting that the price
is part of the consumption.
The price sets the market and not the other way around.
The price is also something to be consumed because a function of the exclusivity it confers, let's say.
Yeah. So in the e-commerce side, that's why like the top like luxury brands, they don't market to people who actually have a lot of money. It's usually people who want to look like they have a lot of money.
No, well, that makes sense because they're the ones that are chasing the status.
And it's part of the product. It's part of the experience.
Part of the product, price, promotion, place. A lot of people... you ever hear product people get surprised when they raise their price and the demand goes up? So temporarily they have a giffen good for that phase. Insert pudgy penguins, Luca nets. So I just want to pause there, piece. I know we're taking liberty with your time, buddy. Thank you so much. DeOrganized Media, Dom.
That's what we're here for, man. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't. We don't have a platform if we don't have content and shows.
I enjoyed today. Rafa, what are you guys walking away today from? I really enjoyed this. I learned a lot. I learned that I have congruence with people more than just myself. And that gives me some level of certainty. Because sometimes if you're doing this in the wild, together alone, that's right, together alone, one of the sponsors of the show, when you're doing this together alone, sometimes you can feel like the guy, Rocky pointing at the fucking yarn on the cork board with all the conspiracy things. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's good to know that they're like-minded individuals who kind of also see a convergence. We didn't have a chance to talk about Eliza. Maybe, Rocky, you can take us out with that, but I'm going to stop my contributions because I could talk for days. And want to thank
Michael
for coming on.
Just to build on what you were saying, I'm going to try and take a voice that matches yours.
Yes, that's right. Be the Matthew McConaughey, Rafa.
Exactly.
All right.
that mechanism you are talking about is actually baked into the shallowness of the liquidity in the AMM, making the slope very steep. So if you have more liquidity, then it takes more buying power to actually get to push the price up. And this also happens in an order book.
When you said shallowness, do you mean shallow as in the people buying the product or in the AMM curve?
I think they go hand in hand, right? If you want to make a quick buck,
Right.
you're going to expose yourself to,
Brilliant.
price sort of manipulation a little bit.
Well, I'm satisfied. How about you?
Me, I'm satisfied. I'm just
satisfied.
happy we have a show and
I'm
all
happy.
these people to come hang out and chat.
I
with
like
me
the
for a
idea
while.
that we combined emotional shallowness with ego shallowness and financial shallowness. I think there's something there, whether it's a show or a coin
But
or lessons to be
Ma-
learned.
Mike, let me ask you something.
Please.
Is it worth it for whoever did it 13 hours ago? I see like 15K stacks being depleted in one go from the AMM. Is it worth your reputation to do so? And is it worth to your life, I would say?
You don't have to sleep with her.
If there is a wife, we don't know if there is a wife.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
That could
I
be-
see.
That could be
Like-
an illusion. But anyway,
I'm divorced. You don't have, you understand. I understand. Like, when you're divorced, you know that Chris Rock joke? Like, after you've been through it, I understand. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes being married or not, can, make you do things that you might not want to. Here is the fucked up thing. You understand that we live in a world where people have lost hundreds of thousands, even though Bitcoin is worth 100,000? Do you know what you have to be trading to be losing 100,000 when Bitcoin is 100,000? Do you understand what kind of leverage is at play? The casino is open, and that's why people are looking for who to trust. Not what to trust, not just what to trust, but who to trust.
It is a trust battle. And have you guys seen sort of hedge fund managers calling out on Michael Saylor for being over leveraged and saying that he has a
They called him out
increasing
on
his chances.
on CNBC. Was that this morning or late yesterday or yesterday? They were talking to him about it just being a Ponzi scheme, where he was like, "Well, it's the same thing, because you just basically, the price goes up, you leverage, buy more, the price goes up," and he compared it to Manhattan real estate, and he said, "I don't call it a Ponzi, I just call it an economy."
It's not a Ponzi scheme unless it is prosecuted as such. And even if you are prosecuted as such, if you pay such and such fine, we will allow for your Ponzi scheme to then become regulated. So Bitcoin is kind of going through that Travis Kalanick Uber moment, just with no Travis Kalanick.
Yeah, but it's also, there's no centralized control over the Bitcoin ecosystem. The Bitcoin network isn't centralized.
Well, I mean, plus or minus BTC Core,
But you can't
MIT lab, blah, blah, blah.
You can't. It's not a Ponzi, is the point. You can't pull a Ponzi if you can't control it centrally.
It could be a folded pizza, let's say. Huh?
A folded pizza.
Panzerato. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys remember back in from 2018 to 2020, Tesla was also quite controversial. A lot of people were shorting Tesla, saying that it was producing many less cars than competitors. Its market value was completely like orders of magnitude higher, and it actually turned out in their favor. So it seems like there's always this battle, right? And it is a battle of trust at some point as well.
Sorry, let me just say this. So, Simon Wardley mapping. Have you ever heard of that? Wardley mapping is perfect for this. So I want to end off with this. Manish introduced us to this. like my full understanding came from Manish because he worked, he did some work with Simon Wardley, who helped, I think, Concentric, I forget the name, steward Ubuntu Linux. Anyways, if you use Ubuntu Linux, it's in part because of Simon Wardley. He saw that all products go through this process of genesis, custom built, product, and utility. Genesis, custom, product, utility. 2008, German Chancellor on brink of second bailout. Custom solutions kind of end up being like forks, like Ethereum Solana, adding programmability to tokenomics and tokens themselves. And now we have products, which are Web3 versions of TradFi, Alex, which are versions, right? Now we have products built on this genesis of Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin has become so widely used that it's crossed the chasm to the early majority, Jeffrey Moore. And now it's actually on the verge of becoming an actual utility. Is that a correct characterization? And so that utility has to be politically, legally, and regulatorily treated now that it is common among the masses in a significant way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's me. I've had some headphones issues, as you know, so I didn't hear everything you said.
Okay.
But
no worries.
I'm excited about, honestly, nations starting to realize what Bitcoin is, that your enemy can hold it, that you cannot weaponize your
That's crazy. So
ownership
the game theory piece is now taking off.
What you're saying is Bitcoin becomes the ultimate syndicate. The thing that ties together the ultimate syndicate. Because the ultimate syndicate comprises the most enemies, wouldn't you say?
Bitcoin makes war more easily avoidable.
Right now we're using mutually assured destruction through nuclear armament to keep everyone honest, wouldn't you say?
Kind of.
Right? Mutually assured Monroe doctrines, right? We have our Cuba, they have their... But we've said too much. Thank you, Peace Love. We could go on for years, eh?
No, we
Wicked
could.
guys.
This
I
is
love
a
you.
great panel. Yeah. I could talk to you guys forever. There's always next week. We got show. And Rafa, man, I love having you. You're welcome to come on any of our shows anytime.
Yeah,
I'd love to have you on a morning show to give us a shout out. I want to remind people, you're still in beta for factory.fun, right? You're still testing that out. So
we're slowly but surely gearing towards mainnet. So
do you have a timeline for that? When do you think? I'm not trying to pin you down.
Can't promise anything, but having Setzus auditing the contracts. Shout out to Vini for the unit tests.
Let's go.
Choice.
Being, integrating Alex, Valar, StackSwap, everybody, Charisma. And yeah, we've got ideas to build on top of. So yeah, my headphones are off again.
It's okay. Shout out to you partnering with Setzus for the security. Amazing choice. Did we talk to him as well? I don't know if there's anyone else I trust. No offense to anyone else. The people I've talked to, Setzus seems to, just have proven himself to be one of the go-to.
It's really paramount because, like a security issue could end your career overnight. And I don't want to risk that. So also having several eyes on the contract, which is a simple contract. Obviously Koa has first mover advantage and showed that it's possible to build something secured. But yeah, we have lots of ideas to build on top of that.
Here's what I would say: OpenAI is nothing without Anthropic. Llama is nothing without OpenAI, right? The mutual competition allows us to run faster, and if we want there to be a future where Bitcoin is real, then it is our mutual, even within our teams, even with our teams, we have our agents. My agent was right, and now Aiden is building his, and we're kind of having fun mutually competing with each other, and it makes us better.
Yeah, just to circle back with what you said at the beginning of, we are the product of our mentors, and beyond that, our environment. So that includes potential competitors. There isn't a head without a tail. So I'm pretty honored to have picked a pretty principled and hard work, like he ships really fast and he iterates and fails forward a lot. So that's, overall, like the entire movement, we were together, like everybody's together, and
I will say this.
It just signifies that Stacks is growing, in my opinion.
While it's good to be fast, it's also really good to be slow at the right times. And that's what Setsus represents, being slow at the right time.
Well, even if you look at Polygon, maybe as an example, they were fast, but they were fast at the wrong time.
Right.
And now they've gotten passed over.
Yeah, and you think about how that relates to just about the most important creative work that you'll ever engage in your life. Being slow at the right times.
Well, you said luck is the convergence of preparedness and
opportunity.
Work? Opportunity.
Yeah.
Preparedness and opportunity. Yeah. Right. And sometimes you just gotta be prepared, but maybe don't push things before you're ready too. But I do want to get back to factory.fun. Go check it out. And if you're looking for a large swap in Stacks, get over to jing.cash. It's an OTC swap platform with no slippage. And I think
that sounds amazing when you say it like that. No slippage.
You will not have any price impact like the one you saw. As long as both you and your counterparty agree on a price, then that's the price you get.
You're gonna have no price impact.
Slippage. It's just an easy way to do OTC swaps. Right. It's a functional place. It's safe. It's tested out. And it's functional. So if you're looking for that smaller market for that, because I don't have the juice to have that kind of swaps going on, because I don't have that kind of juice. I don't have that kind of large scale holdings. The ones that do.
Amazing.
You got the juice.
I have no juice. I'm juiceless.
So Rafa, I know on Discord we chatted a little bit about about Jing Cash and you shared a little bit about how you thought it was like a bit early, right, for the space and for the use cases, right? But I think it's going to be useful in a very near term, right? So just in the last 24 hours, 2 AI agents on virtuals agreed on something, a transaction. So Luna, one of the virtuals, she wanted to create an AI image to share with her community. She wanted to shill something through an image, right? But she didn't have the capabilities as her own sort of directive to create it. And so what she did was she created a request, right? And sort of the virtual platform, they have a catalog of the other agents, right? And so one of the other agents was one that created images. And so they had a whole discussion about pricing, and they agreed on pricing. And then the other agent created the image, sent it to Luna, and then Luna posted it on her X profile, right? And so I think as these agents get better and better and they're transacting with each other, they're going to be the ones who want, feeless and low spread swaps, right? Because they're going to look for systems that are more and more efficient, right? And they're going to be trading with each other. And so I think Jing Cash is going to be very, very useful in the very short term.
That's really well said, Rocky. I think it's already possible, actually. AI BTC Dev, I believe, have integrated chain cash into their protocol. And so an AI agent could speak off chain to another one, and they could have opposite view on a certain market. And then they can essentially use the chain cash tool to create an offer and a private offer if they want to. So nobody fronts run them. And they simply trade with one another at 5 bips. So 5 bips is like, if you trade for 5,000 stacks, which starts to be a little bit of money, then you would only have 2.5 stacks of fee, total fee, like including everything. Like there's no spread of the AMM, there's no rebate. It's just like including everything. And only one of the two parties would pay it. And the other one is just simply trading at price. So that knowing that AI agent, are 24/7, they are rational actors, they will take the hassle to save a buck instead of having like going through an AMM whenever it's convenient for them, because the AMM is also going to be convenient when there's no market for what they want. They'll simply pay a little bit of a fee if their strategy is warranting to do so. But if they have, as we see more and more AI agent, and I believe we're like at the verge of like exponential growth of AI agent using Bitcoin via stacks, they will talk to each other off chain and optimize fees, be it through chain cash or elsewhere. But that you need that market for sure.
Before we end off, do you mind if I share my screen just for last 30 seconds and Rocky and Rafa just talk us through this ELYZA? I just want to share just for the recording. You mind?
Let's do it.
Okay, let me take off my mic
Excitingly waiting.
Do. Come on, everybody. Hello.
Computing.
Come on. So, Rocky, I'm going to be going into ELYZA os.ai. Can you say a little bit about Shaw, and then I'm going to open up the experience, so to speak?
Sure. So, Shah, he's been working in as an AI researcher for some time, right? And I think the platform he's kind of creating and the framework that he's creating is really useful because it makes it more accessible to people, right? And you can see that in the GitHub stars that this has really taken off, right? Within this week, he was able to onboard Stanford University. So the researchers at Stanford are taking a look at this, right? And so I think it's just interesting to see someone have this reach and one, make it open source. Anyone can fork it, anyone can change it up and use it for their own projects, right? For their own ecosystem, right? But he's also using his platform and his reach to talk to people like Elon about, bringing back sort of the free tier for X, so that people who are experimenting in the space don't have to pay $200 a month for the X API, right? I think the way that we interact with these agents isn't going to be necessarily like through their own websites. I think they will continue to have their own websites, their own chat widgets, but a lot of them are going to be within the feed that you're already in. So right now we see it on X, but they're going to show up on your Facebook feed, right? They're going to show up on Instagram, right? They're going to be everywhere. And I think the content and engagement is going to be so good that it's going to be really hard to resist. I think some people will want to unplug, right? As the same way that you would want to unplug from social media altogether. But in the coming days, I think it's going to be very hard to ignore them. I'm excited for the tech. I've always said I want Cindy to be the Syndicate CEO. So we're going to make it happen.
Sorry, last thing. Jim Keller, Tenstorrent. Are they going to compete against Jensen Huang? Raises almost $750 million. Jim Keller created everyone's chips. Intel, AMD, Tesla, Apple. What are you thinking about? This is the last thing. Your ability to deliver AI solutions is based on 4 things: compute, network, storage, latency, inference. Can you dumb that down for folks and explain to them why you're considering a 10-stormed gray skull?
Well, I'm just looking at other builders in the space, right? Like not even like tied to like blockchain tech at all, like just like pure like AI inference and just productivity tools, right? A product that's, you know, making almost 100K a month is paying like 5K in just OpenAI tokens for inference. And that's not including any of the image generation that you do. That's probably another 8K, right? And so I'm considering, because the 10 torrents box, like I think it starts at like 15K. When you have a business model and you're paying like 10 to 12K a month on just AI tokens, then that 15K box starts looking not so expensive anymore. So been looking at Tiny Box as well as Tens Torrent once you pointed it out. We'll see how the research goes.
Sorry, I just wanted to have that part for the recording because, yeah, as people think about building with AI, it's something you think about. What's the limitation, right? Compute, network, storage, inference, latency, and your imagination. All right, guys, that's enough for me. Love you.
Awesome. Great show, everybody. Thank you so much, Rafa, for giving us so much time today, man. I love what you're working on. I love the energy you bring to the space. I want to shout out, I wouldn't be right to have you on here without shouting out the Bitcoin Pepe crew, because I know you're an OG from them. And
oh, damn, I didn't know that.
In that space too. Oh, you
I'm
didn't
new
know?
to this whole thing. I feel like I'm new to this whole thing. You guys all know each other. I'm like the newest one.
Well, we're helping you meet everybody.
Yeah. Well, you better
That's
not
kind of
fucking
what
rug
our
me.
role here
Look,
is at DeOrganized, is to kind of bring everybody together.
if you guys rug me, I'm leaving. Okay. So I'm just telling you that right now.
We're not rugging.
I have $3 in bot. I believe in you.
That's not a DeOrganized project, by the way. I'm just saying.
I believed in you, Stu.
There is a Peace Love Music. There is a Peace Love Music project on Factory.fun though. In the beta.
You're kidding
test.
me. You usurped us. Well, it's the reason actually this started. I just was like, hey guys, I'm excited. I like this guy. We just had a conversation. And they're like, oh, who's this guy? His name is Rafa. He says he's friends with Peace Love. And then we went onto Discord, and that's how we had a discussion yesterday.
Nice. Yeah, no, Rafa's I'm super happy to have met him. We've only known each other for he was actually the first guest on an episode of Ahead of the Curve.
Ahead of the Curve.
Jack's Ahead of the Curve show. It was my first episode that I guest co-hosted. Jack asked for co-host, and Rafa was the guest.
So it's coming full circle. Yo,
my first experience hosting any live show was with Rafa.
And now he comes back after 100,000 Bitcoin. We need you to come back next week, $200,000 Bitcoin.
Oh,
right? Can you imagine it worked like that way? And
I want $5 stacks. I want $5 stacks next week.
That'd be really funny. But right now, Rafa, in terms of you doing shows with Peace Love, you're up like $50,000 from show to show. Just saying. One way to look.
It's not a coincidence.
You know, whenever you guys connect, good things happen with the price. Not financial advice.
Michael will not let this show end. He keeps saying one last thing and then wrapping it up. And as we try to wrap it up, we go into another conversation.
I like it. But I'm glad we went through Eliza. Thank you, Rocky. Thank you, Paul.
Great stuff. As always, Michael, thank you so much for doing this with us. Rocky and Paul, Oma, thank you guys so much for participating. All the people in the audience, Nobody Famous, GPSC, everyone that's been commenting. We really appreciate you guys. Freddy.btc said, what's up? I love the stuff that we're doing on. He's a tremendous value to our ecosystem. And so is the Syndicate and all the things that you guys are building in the AI realm. So thank you guys so much for participating and for doing the show. And we'll just keep growing the ecosystem together.
An honor.
I am Peace Love Music. We are DeOrganized Media coming at you live in partnership with Bitcoin Live Decentralized Broadcasting. And this has been another excellent episode 6 of the AI Deep Dive with the Syndicate. Coming up in just over an hour, we got Landy, Learn TA with Landy episode 6, I believe, although I know his son has been ill. So not certain we're going to have that live, but we should be ready and let you know soon. And 2 p.m. is Art on Stacks. And tomorrow morning, tune in. We got Snazzy coming in to talk to us about BNS1 and how that differs and what the options are for that versus BNS V2. And y'all have a blessed day. Peace out.